What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlocked, episode 429 for February 4th or 5th, whatever day it is, 2020. Coming up on this week's show, lots of Xbox Series X stuff to talk about. What is the initiative up to? Microsoft's new quadruple A premier first-party game studio. Well, Phil Spencer giving a little bit of a hint on that on Twitter. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order being very successful. We'll talk about that and what that means. All that and more coming up on Podcast Unlocked.
Podcast Unlocked.
What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right, Destin Legary.
What was that? Say bam loudly? You got it, fake person in my ear. Bam! Let's get going.
Yeah, after my ear infection, I'm like, everything's...
Oh, no.
It's very shrill. Even on this side, I'm
Shrill?
You're
shrill.
It's very... It's been a rough week, but the BAM will no doubt shake the cobwebs out. So thank you, Destin.
Unlock does need like a thing
What,
for the
like,
intro.
like the BAM?
Ryan does his read and then he's like,
Yeah.
let's lock it in right now. Intro sequence.
This is the Master Chief, and you're listening.
Do we?
We got to come up with something.
Good morning.
Brandon Tyrell.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm getting.
We're all kind of banged up a little bit here.
You were sick last week.
Yeah.
I got sick over the weekend. I'm feeling all right now.
You coughed when I came in the room and I walked this.
Just go away.
I'm like, I do not want to
It's not. It's not one of those contagious moments now. It's just like I feel like I got hit by a truck, but we're soldiering on.
Yeah. Mark
Bam.
Medina subbing in for the vacationing Miranda Sanchez.
Ryan, I am here. I feel great. Justice
goodness.
for Han. Fast 9 is going to be dope.
Appreciate the
Why do you
shout
keep
out.
cutting over here?
That's all you need.
Hi.
Oh man.
Well, last
All
week,
right.
last week you were so visual
We
that
had
this
a-
week he's got his finger on the button.
the-
Got to make
Why?
sure, just in case Destin makes a face, he wants to make sure he gets
We
it.
had the you're referencing, the big Fast 9 trailer. We had the Super
Yep.
Bowl over the
Yep.
weekend.
No, we didn't. What? I don't know. What
we
you're
totally
saying.
lived my life.
It's all right,
quarter mile at a
Niners
time.
fan.
Never happened.
Just cry on the pillow of the 6 other championships that Bay Area sports teams have won in the last 10 years.
I mean, it makes it easier. It makes it easier.
I did this thing, and I never
good
believed in
Super
it
Bowl.
because I'm not like big on sports. But I text my friend who's a huge Niners fan, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, they're 10 up. This is when they were 10 up," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, I think they're gonna win." And he goes, "You realize
You ruined it.
realize you
Mark!
just jinxed it."
It was
And
Mark
I
Medina's
swear,
fault, San Francisco.
I swear,
Gotta go to
the
the
second I clicked send that text, it went nothing but bad for the rest of the game. Not
Okay.
one more good thing happened for them.
Well-
and I just kept texting him. I'm so sorry.
There were a lot of
I'm so-
issues.
the Niners will have you hunted down and terminated.
It was clock.
It's definitely my fault.
It was clock management. It was play calling. It was Jimmy Garoppolo shaking under pressure.
Explain
it was
to
a
me
lot of
how that
situations.
touchdown was a touchdown. Do I just not understand sports?
The ball
That's-
was over the line.
It doesn't have to touch
Thank you,
the
Dustin.
ground. I thought it was touchdown. It doesn't have to touch the ground.
As long as any part of the football crosses any part of the white line before the end zone, it's considered a touchdown.
I thought it
Welcome
had
to Madden
I
Cast.
thought it actually had to touch the ground.
Anyway, hey, serious question, for next year's Super Bowl, do you guys think Microsoft might go all out and buy a Super Bowl spot for Series X? It'll have been out for a couple months at that point.
Yeah.
Think that might be a thing?
Yeah.
Probably, maybe.
It would make a lot of sense. Promote a little Halo Infinite in that.
See that?
I could see that happening. Could be good. Anyway,
Our new producer is really letting me down with these camera angles.
Well, I don't know. It'll be
You
arguable.
leave him alone.
throw poor Ty under the bus.
It'll be approximately 4 months after launch at that point, like 3 and some change.
Depending, whether it's October or November, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, the stakes have raised to that point.
I mean,
with
the
console.
NFL and
I'm
Microsoft.
not talking.
The
We're having a
NFL.
podcast over here.
You guys just want to start over?
a show within a show happening.
Sorry, I'll stop audio listening.
The Jesus, my whole train of thought. The NFL and Microsoft already have a deal
That's true.
that they worked out several years ago.
Surfaces on every
The Surface
sideline.
became the official like sideline tablet
device
of the NFL. And
We were
and
laughing that all the announcers, they all have like notepads and stuff like that. And Amanda's like, why aren't they using their things? I'm like, I'm sure they're not even on.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure they're just there for show. Because like, so you see 4 Microsoft services.
There are certain
writing down
coaches
notes.
that like Bill Belichick still carries around like a clipboard with that much paper on it while he has to hold his Surface. It's really, really funny to see.
really good.
Some of them actually really use it. You see a lot of players like flipping through
sure.
formation sets from the previous drive. But
Yeah, I watched the whole game. I never saw him use them once.
Anyway.
Unless I missed it.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal is our IGN first this month. Very excited about that. That's a game that just it's like it was made for me. It's so good.
I watched the first
It's so
10
good.
minutes yesterday.
Yeah, that's our first piece. We got the first 10 minutes of the game up on IGN or the IGN YouTube. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's real good. And then a lot more coming all
The
month long.
crown part. You know what part I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Watch it just for the crown part. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to spoil it.
Crown
I want
part.
them to go watch it. Look for the crown part.
People were talking about spoilers. There are like some.
I mean,
there's some setup spoilers and like maybe literally the first 10 minutes.
Right.
But like it's not.
That's the thing. It's like, one, it's inherent in the title.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see the beginning of the game, don't click on a video that says the first 10 minutes of Doom Eternal. Number 2, I mean, I'm sensitive to spoilers for sure, but it's a game. Doom is a gameplay game.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, yeah, there's story in it, but you know,
He's in hell. Spoiler warning. He goes and kills a bunch
not.
of demons.
he's on Earth.
He's on Earth.
Gotta
teleports
bringing the
to
pain
hell.
to Earth.
And there
so.
is a see now I'm like gun shy. I don't want to talk about the 10 minutes you put out.
It's fine.
There's a really cool shot where you see the space station or the spacecraft. I'm not super into Doom lore,
Right.
So I'm not sure what it's called, but it's hovering
You'll find
over.
out
It's
very
hovering over
soon.
Earth, and you see these like hellish sort of demonic pentagrams all over the Earth,
stamped
like
into the Earth.
the size of states,
right.
And I'm just like, wow, that is a badass like visual to like. Because he basically ODST drops into Earth, right? Like, he goes down into it, and you're like, man, that's stuff is real bad. I was about to swear.
I've played a bunch of that game. It's really good so far, and yeah, if the rest of it holds up to the chunks I've played, it's gonna be my favorite game in March, if not many other months as well. So stay tuned all month long for more on that. All right, let's get to the news right now. Destin.
Yes.
Phil Spencer, he likes to tweet sometimes. Mm-hmm. He has a Twitter account. He uses it.
He sure does.
So this was what would have otherwise been a very innocuous tweet. But there's a little parenthetical that he put in here that's certainly got my brain.
There's a winky face too. Isn't there?
It's so Phil was on Twitter and he says he had a meeting with The Initiative. So Microsoft's new quadruple A studio down in Santa Monica that's being built by Daryl Gallagher, former head of Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent.
A lot of decorated.
Drew Murray's on
Drew Murray's a lead there from he worked on Sunset Overdrive.
He was in Insomniac.
Yeah. So a lot of talented folks being assembled down at The Initiative. And Phil saying, had a great update today with Daryl Gallagher, Matt Booty, who's the head of Xbox Game Studios, and the team at The Initiative. It's an incredibly talented studio challenging themselves to do new things, parentheses, and old things, smiley face, in new ways.
Perfect arc.
Minesweeper 2020.
Well, Destin, you're cutting right to the heart of the matter. So
Yeah.
That's what everybody thought, right?
That's
Immediately.
That's what I think.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
It's been dormant for so long. No one's really been discussing it, and
Yeah.
it's one of their properties that they do own that they are able to, resurface. It definitely has
It
sort
was
of
made
that,
by Rare, right? Initially.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
It definitely has that special sauce that could, be brought back to light. A really good first-person shooter. It had interesting futuristic weapons.
Zero was a first-person shooter, but I think for me, it's the talent.
Well, the N64 one was also. Yeah, the Far Side.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking. The talent pool down in Santa Monica is, you've got Naughty Dog down there. You've got Insomniac down there. You've got
Sony Santa Monica
with God of War. So you've got a bunch of people to hire from and to draw from that are really, really good at making narrative-driven, third-person action adventure games.
So it's a brute force reboot.
Well, we're done here. We can.
We've solved the
pack it up and
mystery.
go
I was
home.
holding on to that one before Destin
Yeah.
jumped right to Perfect Dark.
But yeah, I mean, so Perfect Dark, recast as a third-person, narrative-driven action-adventure game with spy elements, stealth elements.
Yeah.
With Joanna Dark as a third-person, maybe open-world kind of exploration. Like it would make a ton of sense. I mean, I had been under the assumption, we know what assuming does, that the fact that Microsoft was springing up this quadruple A, top-tier Halo kind of caliber studio to out of nothing. I figured they'd be making a new IP, but this, whether it's Perfect Dark or not, this whole and old thing smiley face would seem to suggest that they are not making a new IP.
It would seem to suggest that, which kind of disappoints me. I would love to see those kind of resources and that kind of talent poured into something new, right?
Well, they're saying new and old things, so saying they're not doing anything new is
Well, yeah, sure.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little silly to think that there are now two teams working on something new and old, but certainly the new is a qualifier on the old things, I would think. So that like a remake or a reboot or bringing back an old franchise.
You're saying
Or
okay, I get what
it could be in reference to to new mechanics with an old IP.
That's what I'm talking
Right,
about.
okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
versus the opposite, which would be a new idea on old mechanics. So a really cinematic match 3 game or something like that. But
You never know.
Minesweeper 2020.
Game Pass, baby.
This time the bombs sweep you.
The intrinsic parts of Perfect Dark and what make it special is Joanna Dark, the spy elements, the collecting intel, and I think the point where it gets a little too weird is with the alien character.
Yeah.
Near the end of the game. So I would prefer that they focus in on Joanna Dark and her story of becoming a spy before it gets too strange, where you become detached with it.
I
Because
completely agree.
that core storytelling is really good, and I would love to learn more about Joanna. Look what they did with Tomb Raider when they brought Tomb Raider back.
So that was my other thing. Like, so we're thinking a Joanna Dark. I mean, for those who don't know, I guess Perfect Dark seems pretty ubiquitous. But Perfect Dark is essentially futuristic James Bond, spy stuff like Lady Bond in the future.
And that's I'm saying, you're talking about. I respect I wish it were a new IP, wish it were a new thing. I would argue that Perfect Dark is effectively that at this point because it's been so long that even if they straight remade the original Perfect Dark, which they won't.
They already remastered, like they brought it up to HD
for
and
360,
everything for 360,
Live Arcade. But it's been long enough where you've got a whole generation of Xbox gamers that have grown up and have never played it, have no idea what it is. So it is effectively a new thing, but you already know it's good ideas, good character.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah, I'm not necessarily all for dredging up every old IP, but there are a lot of really good IPs that Microsoft hasn't done anything with in forever, and I think Perfect Dark's right near the top of that list. So if they're putting a quadruple A, mega budget, mega talent behind a new Perfect Dark, that's something I'm super excited about.
Yeah, and I think the resources and the talent are the most important part, right? Because Perfect Dark had a bunch of great ideas with a great character, but it was a totally different team. Like that character could be Joanna in name only kind of situation, right? So I'll be surprised if it is Perfect Dark. I'm.
What do you think? Maybe if it's something from the back catalog, if it is an old Microsoft IP, what else do you think Phil might be referring to there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question. I mean, the reason that you remake an IP is because it's got name recognition and it's got nostalgia and people are attaching to it. And to your point, like you said, it's effectively an unknown quantity for a whole generation of people now, right? So
do you want me to go down the list? I brought it up here on Wikipedia.
Sure, yeah. Is it? I mean, Crimson Skies and
Age of Empires, Banjo-Kazooie, Battletoads, Blue Dragon, Conquer, Crackdown, Fable, Forza, Gears, Halo, Killer Instinct, Mech Warrior.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah. Most of those are already in development.
I just want to say, like,
Perfect Dark.
If Conquer were to come back, can we please have Double Fine do it?
Oh
Yeah,
That
they could hit that
awesome.
tone really well.
Tim Schafer would be. Oh, that would be cool. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, continuing. Perfect Dark, Rise of Nations, Thunder, Viva Pinata. Viva Pinata would be pretty neat, but I don't think this studio would be developing.
No, you wouldn't
Yeah.
be. I don't think you'd be putting $100 million into
No.
a Viva Pinata game.
And then
dollars.
There's a bunch of like
That's
smaller
100
stuff
million of
after
them.
that, but
So many dollars.
nothing that jumps out. Crimson Skies would be
I think
was one we
I'm-
talked about last episode.
Yeah.
actually.
I think I'm kind of with Brandon. I would so much prefer for them to just, I don't know. I'm not really in the mood to kind of be like, here's the old stuff we've done. We're bringing it back. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like, I'm not super excited for a lot of those things. Like, I want to see new ideas kind of coming, kind of just studios. I mean, this is a new studio, so it's not taking a different direction, but instead of like, it's kind of weird. So like, I played like God of War 1 and 2, and I didn't much care for them when I was younger, right? So then when God of War 2018 came out, I actually was not really excited for it at all because I was like, I'm not a God of War fan.
Yes,
right?
I had no attachment either. I'm
I was like, I'm not a God of War fan. Then I played it, and I'm like, whoa, this is awesome, right? Because it's just so different. But a part of me thought to myself, this is an older franchise that I don't know anything about and that I don't have any connection for. And so you kind of feel like you're missing. It's kind of nice to get kind of on the ground level of something.
I see what you're saying. I didn't feel that way at all personally about God of War. I mean, I'm sure I missed a few in jokes here or there, or references, but yeah, I mean,
Really? I think
I
they,
just
I think they
mean the
played it
hype-
pretty straight from the ground up.
I just mean the hype leading up to it. I remember thinking like, I don't really care about God of War. And
You
so
guys
it's
are
like,
insane. I've been quiet long enough.
That's fine.
How do you not?
Everyone can have different opinions. I don't care about God of War. But anyways, except for the new one. The new one's cool. But that's what I'm saying is like Perfect Dark, no matter what, an old IP is always going to come with like a little bit of baggage.
Definitely.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And so when people think, oh, Perfect Dark, oh, what are they just remaking the Nintendo 64 game? Or do I need to know what happened in those games? Where it's like, hey, here's this. It's brand new. You're here on the ground level.
I hear you. That clearly didn't slow down God of War at all.
It did not.
Did not
It
matter
did not.
at all. It sold, 10 plus million copies. And I guess the more I think about it, the more a Perfect Dark could make sense because I think there's a lot of love for that. If you're old enough to remember it, you probably think fondly of the Perfect Dark series. So you've got a positive association going there. And number two, if you're going to spend $100 million with a brand new team developing a huge new game that you want to be a pillar of Xbox moving forward, it's a lot riskier to do it with a new IP.
Sure.
I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I'm not, I'm not trying to sit here saying they should just only ever develop sequels and franchises, but it would be a lot riskier to push all those chips into the middle of the table on a brand new thing.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was waiting.
No, go ahead.
Irregardless of how we feel personally about God of War, if you go look at the reaction video to when it was announced during the Sony PlayStation conference, that is what the community reacted to that IP like, right? Bringing it back was a huge thing after being dormant for so long.
And bringing it back seriously.
Yeah, bringing it back
Yes.
with a tone and a respect.
And a high production value.
Yeah,
with a lot of
absolutely.
talent.
Yeah, that really, really resonated with the community, right? I don't think we necessarily would get that with Perfect Dark.
We're going to get it with Fable as soon as they announce Fable.
I was going to say, I think Fable would get that response because Fable is
It's more
definitely a
recent.
cherished franchise.
It's more recent.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I don't know. Perfect Dark just has a lot of challenges in that respect. And also looking at their IP list, I don't know what's on there that's been dormant that would get a response the way God of War did at Sony with Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of just I don't want to be scared of the unknown. I
that's
want
why
to go to E3 and I want them to show me a game that I didn't know I wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is the difference between goodness and greatness, isn't it?
Right. Well, like not to bring up Sony again, but
what?
Greatness awaits. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just like, Hugo Martin is the project director on Doom, and I was obviously at id doing. You're going to hear him talk about that very thing.
Was it id?
on the IGN Unfiltered this month? He's the guest along with Marty Stratton, the two of them. So it's just when you're talking about that, that's what made me think of was. He's going to speak a lot about that on Unfiltered and about kind of like you
sell yourself.
You have to show the audience what it wants, and where it didn't, and the audience didn't even know it wanted that.
Yeah,
That's his thing, and I think he's totally right.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, are you?
I was just gonna say like something like taking. Again, not to bring up Sony, it's the only example I can think of is like Killzone was this series, and then Guerrilla comes out and they're like, you know what, Horizon Zero Dawn, and like that's a big hit now. That's something people didn't know
That's
that
fair.
they wanted.
Yeah,
and so it's like that's kind of like my idea of like they could have just kept making Killzone games, you know, and so it's like we could just keep making old games, but I would love to see it's like here's this new console and here's a game you didn't know you wanted. Here's what it can do. So I'm just excited for new stuff.
I don't disagree at all. I think, though, that there are now, 14, 15 first-party studios. Mm-hmm. You're going to get plenty of that.
I agree.
Like a lot of the other,
too.
like Obsidian, In Exile, a lot of the other teams, the Compulsion. Like I think you will see a lot of new ideas tested out.
I think it'll be cool.
And so you got to, it's inevitably going to be a mix. Sure, you've got Halo, Gears, and Forza,
their reliance,
and then Fable. Fable's going to be revived by Playground's other team, but
that hasn't been confirmed yet, right? We just we're
assuming
it's like the worst kept secret at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even. There's no leaks or anything. It just seems
there have been concept art postings that are.
What if it doesn't happen? What if it's just never?
We'll just pretend we never. I
forgot about the concept.
We'll just grab the archives.
Delete the tapes. Burn the tapes.
Yeah.
Just like. Yeah, just take delete all the emails. It's fine.
It could be something like Fable Legends again, though, which it had a strong community following.
They need,
and it just didn't release.
That's to your point about Guerrilla, right? With Resistance, I think it takes a certain amount of time.
Killzone.
Sorry, Killzone.
Okay. Killzone and Horizon. Yeah.
I think it takes a certain amount of time for a studio to sort of build the confidence of the publisher or the first party to
and the
be
community
and the community to be able to branch out and do something new and exciting like that, right? Killzone first-person shooters, we know first-person shooters do well, and you can make a really good living making a first-person shooter that is not a Call of Duty, or because people will buy them and people will play them, and as you get better and you continue to sort of flex those muscles, at some point I don't care who you are or what you do or what industry you're in. At some point, someone wants to try something new, right?
Yeah.
So when you have the talent and the confidence and the pedigree to be able to pull that off, you get a Horizon. And to your point about a developer's job is to sell the thing that the player doesn't know they want, I think Sony does do a great job at that.
They have.
Granted, they do it 4 years before the game is out, but that is part of the process for them, right? Like I never knew I wanted a walking simulator, a de facto walking simulator with Death Stranding. It's like if you had told me like, yeah, you're a glorified post-apocalyptic FedEx delivery guy, I'm like, all right, that's cool. No,
I'm even thinking about stuff like not even just game development, but like Game Pass is like a new way that nobody thought could be a way to buy games and consume media like that. That's kind of what I'm excited for, because like how cool is stuff like Game Pass?
Yeah, the forward-thinking stuff.
Like, where it's like, hey, we're going to just have this library of games that you're going to pay $10 a month for, and all our first parties come to it day one. Like. That's like a crazy thought.
What's so ironic?
You go to the store and you buy a game for $60. That's how we've always done it.
Yeah.
And now that's not how we do it anymore for Xbox, and it's like really cool. It's really forward thinking.
That's what's really ironic about it, is because you say no one's thought about that before, but for 10 years people have been saying, "Oh, we want to be the Netflix of games."
Sure.
And that has been recycled and recycled and recycled, and Nvidia tried it, and a lot of Redbox and GameFly. There's a lot of services that have tried it. For some reason, Xbox stuck it because I think they pulled what Apple did: keep everything in your ecosystem. You don't really have to think about it. It's just $10 a month, and it already works with just everything you own.
Yep.
I mean, the biggest criticism, you see it online all the time, Xbox does not have the same quality IPs that PlayStation has. You're right. They absolutely need to be making new IPs to quell that conversation.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, you can't keep going to the well of Halo and Gears. Those are there. Those are staples, right? That's great. If you figure out a new path with Perfect Dark and Fable, that's good. That does give you a little bit more of a competitive advantage. We need our Last of Us. We need our Horizon.
Yeah.
We need our God of War.
You're 100%
the game that
right.
you didn't know you wanted.
You're 100%
that
right.
becomes the big deal.
Yeah.
Because in the last generation, Microsoft has introduced several new IPs and a lot of Ori and Sea of Thieves. Problem is, as much as no one wants to admit it, there's a kind of game that sells really well, and it is a dark, realistic cinematic video game like a God of War or a Ghost of Tsushima or a Death Stranding. Those kind of games are what get, the demographic of the video game industry is very weighted in one direction and for one age group, and those are the games that really get people motivated to get out there and pick it up.
And that's what we got Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. Hellblade
absolutely.
2. Hellblade 2 is the first game where you feel that spark, that excitement for a property.
Hellblade is a perfect example of the direction. I don't think it's the only direction because I love Fable for what it is. It's a fairy tale video game. It's a Fable video game. Well, I was going to say actual Aesop Fable video game.
It sure is a Fable video.
Sea of Thieves is a fantastic experience, but Sea of Thieves and Fable don't speak to a certain core demographic that really, really wants to hit stuff with an axe, or that really wants a dark, arduous trek through a really fleshed out world. And I think I would really love the initiative to take the talent and the resources, all the people on that staff, they have amazing projects under their belt, and pour it into something new and something that I want to care about,
Well, it'll be, if it is Perfect Dark, it'll be interesting to see if they can win you over in that regard, because there'll be a lot riding on whatever it is. That
I was a bigger Perfect Dark fan back in the day than GoldenEye. I remember Perfect Dark was this weird bridge where you didn't have to get the N64 expansion pack.
Right.
But the game was much worse without it.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know my Nintendo history super well, but if I recall correctly, wasn't Perfect Dark kind of born out of the fact that Rare wanted to keep doing that same kind of game, but without having to rely on the James Bond license?
The license?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look more into that later. And
it did give us the Farsight sniper rifle, which to this day is one of the worst weapons in the world.
You mean the best weapon?
No. I love
shoot through walls.
It's only the best if it's in your hands.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For if there's a 8-person map, 7 people on that map hate the Farsight.
Yep. The laptop.
All right.
Oh, laptop gun.
Love
that thing.
All right, so that's Phil Spencer teasing us all on Twitter. Let's move on to a little celebratory post here from EA and Respawn, deservedly so. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, absolutely a hit, no doubt about it. During EA's Q3 conference call recently with investors, EA revealed that sales of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order significantly beat our expectations, according to Chief Financial Officer Blake Jorgensen. They had originally projected Jedi Fallen Order to sell 6 to 8 million units for their fiscal year, but it has already hit the high end of that in their Q3, which is the October to December period, and the game came out in November, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They now say they anticipate it to sell around 10 million units in their fiscal year, which is the one that ends in the end of March. So their fiscal year. So it means 10 million through then, and then it'll probably keep selling in April and beyond of 2020 this year. So it may just keep right on rolling. But I think, we've talked so much about EA and not making single-player games, and this was the one that looked really good, and it turned out it was really good, and it is really good, and that people needed to vote with their wallets. Well, you did. Congratulations, because it's EA. This is the only message EA hears, and I know that sounds kind of sarcastic. I'm
bottom dollar.
This is the only message. You can post on any message board all day, every day. This is the only message EA will hear, which is, hey, you like this, you bought it, great, we'll keep doing it. So I'm very happy for Respawn because it's a great game. They deserve the success, but I'm also happy that
2 for 2.
Yeah, that EA will get this message, and we're almost certainly going to get a sequel to this, and hopefully other single-player games in the Star Wars license or otherwise.
I hope, and you're 100% right. This is the language that EA speaks. And I hope that what they heard isn't people really want more Star Wars games instead of people really want good, polished single-player games. If they happen to be Star Wars, that's fantastic. But I don't think that... I really, really hope that's not the case because they know they've had a bunch of duds, right? With the Star Wars license, there's a bunch of mobile games and whatnot. So I just really hope that this tells them that, hey, maybe Dead Space isn't such a lost cause, right? Maybe we do have the opportunity here to make really good games and get a return on it.
KOTOR. Excuse me.
Or KOTOR.
Yeah, they say vote with your wallet, and like that's literally what this is. It's cool. I'll plug your shit. So if you watch the Unfiltered with Stig,
Mark Medina,
you'll kind of see that.
Goodness.
I edited that episode. So like I was forced to watch it. Yeah. But
thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. You got it.
You're a little spicy today, buddy. A little spicy.
But if you watch it, it's cool because like you'll know that this game has had a little bit of an uphill battle when it comes to like being made. Like
Jedi?
Yeah, like Stig talks about how like they go into a boardroom with Disney execs and they're like, yeah, we want to make a game where it's like Jedis and stuff like that. And they're like, what about blasters?
Yeah, don't use lightsabers.
He's like lightsabers. They're like Jedis. Like that was like the coveted like whoa. Jedis, we don't know about that. And so the fact that they were able to push through and then make this really, really cool game.
Yeah. What
and
about
then
blasters? Did you make Apex? Sit down.
Yeah. Do we want to take a second and just talk about Respawn and how they're essentially Will Smith in the 90s? They cannot do anything wrong. They are triple threat. They have
they can't
That's
be
big Respawn style.
They have they have arguably the best multiplayer or the most popular multiplayer game out there right now. They have arguably, and I say arguably because I haven't seen all the figures, but the best selling single player game of the year of the season so far. And they've got a VR thing in the works that I'm sure is going to be great as well.
I saw Medal of Honor. It's the highest, one of the highest production. VR games I've seen, and I don't know how that comes off, but I mean it in a complimentary way. Like it feels like a real full game rather than just like a VR tech demo.
Yeah, I don't think it's a pejorative to say that the sort of quality of VR games is not sort of what you would expect with regular video PC console games because it's a new platform, it's a new technology. We'll get there eventually, but there are a lot of hurdles and learning.
We're starting
and
to
trials.
get a few. The Walking Dead. Saints and Sinners. People
Sinners.
love that
I
game.
took a preview demo for that, and I put it on everybody else's radar here right away, and I was so happy to see the review come in at a 9 for that.
That's awesome.
What I played was really good.
What's the other one?
And then Half-Life's coming up.
But what's the other one? Yeah, exactly. But what's the other one? The Bone something?
Bone
game.
Stella was just talking to me about this.
The VR game?
Yeah.
Bones, yeah.
Anyway.
I forget what that game's called, but it's like inspired by Half-Life, but that's like a full game. And so it's like VR kind of seems to be getting there.
I hope check out our top 10.
Did her top 10 go up yet?
It's at 3 p.m. on Thursday.
But anyway, we're getting off topic.
Gorn.
Respawn. Big Vinny style, Vincent Zampella.
Right? Come on.
All right.
I'm glad we're back on topic now. So
he's been put in charge of DICE LA. They're going to rebuild that studio.
Sorry, guys. Parents just don't understand. I think that.
So wait, which game is Independence Day? Which game is Bad Boys?
All right, if we're actually going to do this, I think that Respawn might be one of the best studios in the world at
they
this
absolutely
point.
are. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And the thing is, I've been shouting this for years. Like, this is the core of that team, which is still there.
Yeah, yeah.
They are remember, this is the history here is Activision screwed over Infinity Ward after Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Vince and Jason West at the time, who has since retired, unretired, and now I guess works at Epic, but they took most of that team, like 40 people, don't quote me on that, and it was large,
7, right?
No, it wasn't. It was a much larger.
It was a big
people.
chunk,
and there
was solidarity there, right?
Yeah, and they went and they just left en masse and went and founded the appropriately named Respawn with EA, actually on their own, and they signed a publishing deal with EA, and EA has since acquired them. But yeah, these are the people that made the Call of Duty that I know that it is what it is.
Great.
That is
it's like when you think of like Titanfall and Star Wars and Apex, it's like, man, they make all these great games, but it's like you also have that team to thank for like what Call of Duty is today.
Oh yeah,
You know, like you can kind of just automatically add all those games to the pedigree.
That's
as well,
right.
Because Call of Duty 4 is what set the standard for what
Stig,
Call of Duty are.
Stig Osman said he came from
God of War.
The God of Wars you don't care about. The original trilogy of God of War. So
I hate them.
I love a studio.
I'm just so happy to see that team doing what they're doing because when Titanfall came out, it was people loved it. It was great, but it was also, It's a very good multiplayer game, but there's no single player. Like they did some experimentation. They tried to fuse that sort of like narrative storytelling into a multiplayer game. To mixed success. It got the point across, but I don't know if people were really sold on it. Titanfall 2 came out. They added that single player and it reminded everyone
one of the best first-person shooter single-player campaigns.
Yeah.
Of the generation.
Hey, remember we made the Infinity Ward Call of Duties. We know what we're doing when it comes to a single-player shooter. I reviewed Titanfall 2. I still think Ryan covered on it perfectly. It's one of the best shooter campaigns out there.
And Call of Duty took so many cues from Titanfall when it came out. That's when the jetpack hit and all that stuff. With Advanced Warfare.
There was a whole trend of like getting further and further into the future, and then at some point they reset it.
Back.
Like, we're going back to the 40s.
But anyway, again, I think we've said this before, but I think Jedi Fallen Order 2 is a no-brainer at this point. Yeah. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen. Stig's got that whole team built to make that kind of game. It's they have the talent to make exactly what they've been making. They have the Unreal Engine tuned up how they want it. They can bring it over to Series X and PS5, dial it up. I think Jedi Fallen Order 2 is inevitable, and that's a good thing. That'll be a real nice.
I really like that.
Externally,
that's a
good thing.
It's always fascinating to me when a company like EA misses for so long.
Excuse me.
And then they do something that just, yes, this is what we've been asking for so long. It's a big hit, and we're not surprised.
Yeah.
Because we're on the outside. We're just like, yeah, this game's great. Of course, this is what we've wanted.
Game's so like.
Why did EA diverge so hard? Like, how did their company end up where they were, where they're writing stories about surprise mechanics? That guy got fired, right? Like, who let him say that to
it was a lady.
To a jury?
What are you talking about?
It was a lady?
Loot boxes?
It was a lady. Yeah.
Are you talking about like
it was a guy in the EU, wasn't it?
The contextualization of loot boxes is what you're talking about?
Yeah, when she was like,
we refer to them as size mechanics.
We actually call them surprise mechanics.
I mean, that's just
we're getting off topic.
Mumbo jumbo.
But keep it celebratory here.
It's good. It's good that EA is celebrating. It's good that EA is celebrating Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I feel like Respawn had the clout to say we're not going to do the things that you want us to do. We're doing it this way responsibly, and they have a good collaboration with their community. They're just hitting the right tone.
Whether it was Vince keeping EA at arm's length or EA finally being smart enough to go, maybe we should just leave Vince and these guys.
Use whatever engine you want. Just make a good game.
Whatever deal Respawn struck seems to be working out better than the BioWare deal.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of EA, on that same conference call, that same CFO talked up the Series X as well as the PS5, saying the power of the new consoles is going to be substantially greater than existing consoles, said EA CFO Blake Jorgensen. We can do a lot more with Series X and PS5. Things we're doing will blow people's minds. Jorgensen also said there's going to be so much innovation, not just from EA, but from the whole industry, not only with more sophisticated games, but even the creation of new genres. Well,
okay.
It's not, I don't think I've ever heard a third-party publishing executive ahead of a new console launch come out and badmouth the upcoming consoles, saying, yeah, they're fine. We'll deal with it.
He's borderline hyperbolic, though.
I mean,
we're moving to PC.
Yeah.
What can I say?
It's like, so you've had a PC that can do what those do for, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying that these consoles are going to create new genres? Come on. How? How does a new console launch power a new genre?
Okay, all right.
That seems hyperbolic.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. The only thing I can think of is that developers want to develop for the largest audience they possibly can. Mm-hmm. If a console can support something that they're trying to do, and that only a PC can do it, that doesn't hit as many people as it would if they developed on consoles, so they scrap that idea or that feature. So with that in mind, maybe since consoles will now be able to support the technology that is required to make those features, maybe then they can actually do it.
I'll give you one.
We've seen it here
Again,
and there
that's
with
devil's advocate. I also think it's BS, but
that's good. It just seems like he's blowing a little
Shadow of Mordor exists on both consoles, old and new, but only the Nemesis system could work on the new consoles. Like, it's a small
needed the CPU, the additional CPU.
Yeah, it needed
power for the
and that is a feature, because there's been this thing where it's like, I remember the first few years of Xbox and PS4 where it was like, what are these games doing that I couldn't just do on 360 and PS3 without, other than just they're prettier. You know, like, are these games actually different? And that's kind of an example.
I'll give you one more, Destin. I mean, and this.
Oh, you guys have already largely changed my mind, but let's hear
the one that came to mind.
You sit there and you take your medicine.
The one that came to mind was, could the battle royale genre have been done on the 360?
That's a good one.
Because one giant map, 100
It was done
players.
on PC first, like long before PUBG even. H1Z1 did it before.
Well, we're talking about
but on
about
console
leaps.
And the answer is yes, because Happy Wars came out on the Xbox 360.
God.
Yeah. So, so they were doing like large
Not really
scale
battle
battles on original Xbox, right?
Kingdom Under Fire.
So to answer your question, it could have been done.
I agree with everyone in that. Yes, I think
I love how this podcast evolves into we're all
buddies. No,
we're all right.
We're all still friends,
I do.
right?
I mean,
Round of applause for us.
yes, he's being a little,
Just a little hyperbolic.
a little
That's all I'm
hyperbolic,
saying,
but
yeah.
at the same point,
He's excited.
The cloud streaming stuff, the cloud computing tech that the Series X and X Cloud's gonna help bring in should actually help
and again,
enable new cool stuff.
Maybe we don't know what they are yet.
That's true.
Maybe they come out and they're like, this
factually
game.
we don't know.
Sure. Well, I just mean like as far as like the tech goes, it's like, hey, this couldn't have happened because of this.
Maybe the Series X is a handheld device, and the big brick that we see is just the charging port, right?
That's the power.
That's the power supply. Battery.
We're creating new genres using xCloud and HoloLens. We're going to be able to play in real time
You have to carry the cloud around with you.
I can't even sell this.
Tower
This
form.
sucks.
All right.
Hey, if they can actually create new genres because of this, more power to them.
Okay,
That's really exciting.
You need to define what a genre is at this point.
No, moving on. Moving on. Not doing this
okay,
now.
real quick, because Kojima came out and he said Death Stranding is a new genre. And I see what he's saying. Sort of, it's very socially heavy.
It's just Animal Crossing.
The problem is like
original Strand.
I think the elements of like the Strand game have been in Dark Souls and Animal Crossing and asynchronous multiplayer games forever. So, what is a genre, Ryan? What's a genre?
No one knows.
Ryan, what is a genre?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter is the answer.
You have shooters and you have swingers.
So, Platinum Games still wants to do Scalebound. Speaking to Eurogamer,
they should kickstart it.
I think this episode's a little too spicy to bring up Scalebound, if I'm being honest.
It's too late. Producer Atsushi Inaba spoke to Eurogamer recently about it, and Atsushi-san was asked if being able to self-publish, you're referencing what they've been going down the self-publishing route lately.
Yeah.
They're right now kickstarting Wonderful 101 reboot or remake.
Sorry, real quick tangent. Did you see one of the Kickstarter backer rewards?
Yep.
Is that
you get blocked by
Kamiya?
Kamiya will block you on Twitter.
It's so great. What an honor.
Anyway, so could this run of self-publishing now, this pivot in the business model or the business strategy for Scalebound lead to for Platinum lead to Scalebound end up being finished and released? And Inaba-san says, again, it's a good question, but this was an intellectual property that belongs 100% to Microsoft. Whatever happens with this project, we can't really do anything with it unless Microsoft leaves it to us. Mm-hmm. But it's a game that we fall in love with and love. If the opportunity arises, it's something we would love to return to.
Mm-hmm. So
cool.
Yeah, it's a game of IP ownership.
Yep.
Microsoft would have to say, yeah, we definitely don't plan on doing anything with Scalebound. We'll sell you the IP
or license it back.
or sure, and then it's like,
which
and
seems
then
more likely,
and then go ahead and do whatever you want with it.
I'll say Scalebound looks really cool. It's really interesting. It does not have mass market appeal though.
Also, does anyone know what that game is? Like, Scalebound seems like a really awesome collection of themes and mechanics. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what happens in it. And I've seen we covered it for 3 years, and like I still don't know what it does.
We did a month on it.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. Like I was sitting 2 feet away from him. Still don't know what that game is.
Yeah, I mean, I get the enthusiasm from Xbox fans that liked the idea of this. Like, a prominent Japanese game developer making an Xbox exclusive game. But for me, there's a couple things going against this. Where, I mean, hey, if ultimately Platinum wants to finish it and put it out,
cool,
sure, go for it. And Microsoft signs off on that in one way or another. But the game, double check, the game was canceled in January, officially canceled, January of 2017. So
there was a little
3
bit of
years
overlap.
already that nothing has happened with it. it probably needed, I'm sure, at least a year of additional development time to have made it to the finish line. So if Platinum acquired it tomorrow from Microsoft, you're looking at a 2017 game releasing in 2021 or later, or they start over because we have a generational gap coming now, a generational leap. They start from scratch, they rebuild it, reshape it, and it's an even longer wait. So I just feel like, for me, Xbox fans say, hey, I trust in Phil. I trust. He's leading Xbox. He's done a great job leading, which I certainly think he's done a great job since he was installed as the head of the head of Xbox. He canceled it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the retort to that I've been hearing on my Twitter today as well. What about Crackdown 3 was allowed to continue? Yes.
It was a Sophie's choice.
One, I would have also canceled Crackdown 3, but that's easy. It's easier to say in hindsight, number one. Number two, Crackdown 3 had the cloud technology that they were hoping would be something that could be leveraged in other games. So there was additional value in continuing the Crackdown project.
They wrote off some of the cost of it to R&D.
Right. And number three, that they needed games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's probably just you gotta let one of them gotta get something out there. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, Crackdown 3 was one of 2 first-party releases last year.
Plus, you have new IP that it's just not really quite coming together.
It's a sure bet.
Crackdown 3. How does it look when you cancel one of the sort of first-party pillars of Microsoft when you think of exclusives?
Like 360, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even though largely it was received negatively, like I think the community of Crackdown fans were like, it's fine. I think was sort of like the pass that it got. It wasn't like atrociously broken. It was playable.
It was aggressive.
It wasn't good.
It was just old style.
It was aggressively...
It wasn't modern.
No, not even that. I mean, as the guy who reviewed it, I think it was aggressively mediocre. I don't think it was just like, well, it's too old school to really be appreciated. It was just, there were bad parts of that game, which is fine. I mean, lots of great games have bad parts. I totally understand. All we can do is speculate about the decision to cancel Scalebound versus Crackdown 3. I really, really doubt that those two were ever held up at the same time.
Probably not.
But if you have to revert or divert resources to one thing or another, the established IP seems like the better choice.
And let me be clear too. I completely understand the Platinum team wanting to finish the thing that they poured so much hard work into.
I hope they get the opportunity.
And if they get the opportunity, great. I just think for Xbox fans, you've got to trust that Phil probably knew what he was doing when he decided not to continue with this, as far as it turning into a premier top tier first party game. So,
and Platinum's making a ton of cool stuff right now.
Astral Chain and what was their other really good one that they had recently too?
Nier, but that was
thank you.
Oh, okay.
And they have Beautiful right now, the Kickstarter thing.
That's Wonderful 101.
Wonderful 101.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So their business pivot seems to be working pretty well for them so far. And
the Kickstarter got crazy funded super fast
in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a good way to
that's
test
just for the Switch port, and then they had stretch goals that they
just annihilated.
PC and PS4. Sadly, not Xbox, but
that's an excellent way to test market interest. And do you actually want this?
Didn't work out so well for Shenmue 3.
Well, Shenmue 3 is out, right?
Yeah,
and
it's saying
the fact that you had to ask says a little bit.
Yeah. That was an interesting one. But anyway,
you're right. It'd be nice to have another cool like Japanese exclusive, Japanese developer working with Microsoft exclusively. What was it?
I mean, you go back and of course,
Eternal Odyssey, something Odyssey,
Lost Odyssey, Eternal Sonata.
Thank you.
Blue Dragon.
Yes.
And then go back a little more to Ninja Gaiden, of course, exclusive for the original Xbox.
If Lost Odyssey came back, I would be pretty stoked.
Lost Odyssey was way better than I think a lot of people
very good
credit for. Yeah,
very good game. Also Unreal Engine back in the day.
Hey, look at that
figure, which hadn't really been used for RPGs like that at the time. One more Xbox story I did want to get to. It somehow didn't make it onto this printout, even though I did add it to the doc late. So the folks at Thurrott.com, who are frequent, they cover all things Microsoft. So they've got, I won't call it speculation because they're claiming, pardon me, that the mystery port that we talked about on the back of the prototype Xbox Series X.
It is for GameCube, Game Boy games.
We thought it was a diagnostic port, which is actually what their reporter says too. That's what he thought. But according to people familiar with the company's plans, it is for storage. It is for additional
like a hard
storage.
drive?
So
Interesting.
we know that the storage situation on Series X is
They can put crackers in there?
super fast. That it is well past USB storage speeds.
So that tells me that they're gonna have a small SSD.
It's something else, and they kind of go on to talk about.
It looks too small for SSD drives. Like
Is
the
it
traditional drives we
compact
use.
flash express? That's really expensive to buy. So there's sort of some interesting speculation in the piece, but they claim to have sources familiar with it that say it is a storage expansion port, which
Interesting.
could explain.
These games are they're huge. A terabyte is not enough anymore for a lot of these.
If
It's
the
not
Series
just the
X,
size, but the speed of the storage as well.
if the Series X
Terabyte?
comes with less than 2 terabytes, I will be very disappointed and very surprised.
Because
It's got to be 2.
these games are only gonna get bigger.
Yes.
And so then especially if they're packing in,
They're all 4K.
4K.
Every
8K
single game is
visuals.
4K. So
I think you're insane.
what?
A 2 terabyte hard drive,
You think they'll ship it with the same 1 terabyte that they ship
Yes.
with the Xbox One X now?
100%. I do.
The same.
That would be unfortunate.
I think we need to make an internet launch bet.
I think it could happen. I'm with you guys.
I
but it would
mean,
be
sure,
unfortunate.
why not?
Because I think
we
1
need to cash
terabyte
in
is
on these bets.
we do.
I think 1 terabyte is too small today.
I think you're right.
I think it's still too small.
I mean,
but
shit,
think about being able to buy these little cards for the most part that you're kind of able to be like, hey, I want to launch this game, and it's like you're able to label it. Well, this is on card 2, and you're like, boop, boop,
Oh,
boom.
man.
Now
Not
we're
going to
in
do that. You can
card.
still
It's
have
like
an
PS2
You
era.
can still have an external hard drive that's like 4
Yeah,
terabytes
But those run
or
off
whatever.
USB.
Yes,
Eventually, that's going to hit a cap where
Which
you're
is-
not getting your fast load time.
Well, that's
just
the
running off
point.
USB.
That's the point. Is like this new port will allow you to add external storage space that will still be able
still get fast.
to read write at the
Right.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying is like external storage is an option, but it's always just going to be USB. This could be a chance to kind of get you.
Maybe it's in the middle, right?
No,
Maybe it's
I don't
like
mean
1.5.
I mean external storage. What we have right now,
Right.
taking your 4 terabyte external hard drive, plugging it into your Xbox One X, right? That's what we have right now. But then that's running off USB. So I'm responding to Destin saying that
You're saying
is
it
an
can't push
option for
data.
the future.
I think you guys are mental if you think that if we're looking at a $600 console
I think it
possibly
could happen.
that it would have less than 2 terabytes.
I think it
included
could
with
happen.
That would be
I think that's 100%
that would be
accurate.
so disappointing.
They launched with 500, and 500 wasn't big at the time.
I think you get a $600 console with a 1 terabyte hard drive
that
internal.
that would be awful.
And then they sell a proprietary component that you insert a hard drive into and then slide it in for external storage.
That would be
I think they do it to
gross.
keep
I mean,
costs down.
Microsoft has
Yeah, I agree. Otherwise, it's $650.
Yeah.
well, we don't know.
I have no idea
other-
what hardware, mass-produced hardware prices are. But
Yeah.
I just, Microsoft has made, you can point to almost everything they've been doing as gamer first. And I just don't see them giving us the short shrift and just putting a 1 terabyte.
to milk these, yeah.
Especially when the one part of that 1 terabyte is taken up by all like
The
system
OS.
files and the
Oh, yeah,
OS.
you're getting
So
like
you're
nine-
getting way less than
Yeah,
that.
you're
never
getting
that
like
big,
940.
it's never that big.
2 terabyte or bust, Phil, if you're listening.
1 terabyte's what? 10
10
large
games. 10 games, essentially. I mean, Gears 4 on the One X is just over 100. Forza 7
Destiny's like 85.
Every Call
is
of
just
Duty-
over 100.
And does Destiny have does it
Native
have 4K, does it have 4K
files.
textures?
Not on console.
Yeah, I guess Gears
But on
does,
PC.
right?
Gear,
Gears
that's
was-
what I'm talking about. So when
every Call of Duty is like 110, 120.
which is crazy because it's not even native 4K, is it?
Those games are just terrible.
Modern
at-
Warfare might be.
They're just not optimized.
Yeah.
But Gears 4 optimized for the One X.
Yeah.
When you download the native 4K assets, it is 107, I want to say. So Destin's right. You get about 9, 10 big games on there which is, with Xbox Game Pass, seems to me to be kind of a sweet spot for an initial console.
See, to me, you're proving my point by saying because they're so. Of course, Game Pass is such a focus.
You need to be able to have somewhere to hold these games.
It'll be so dumb if you have to just constantly be deleting and installing games to actually fully enjoy your Game Pass subscription, rather than just be able to download a bunch of stuff and switch back and forth on the fly.
You can set a lot of that to be
Microsoft's
automated, though.
already said that this console, you might be able to run more than one thing at a time.
Yeah.
The multitasking. So
I totally agree with you. I think yes, you are going to.
We're agreeing to agree to disagree.
Pretty much. I think you are. I think you are going to have to do that, and I think that is fine. I think that's okay. I think Microsoft is okay with that as your entry level base console.
But it's not. It's the Series X.
Sure, it's a Series X, but it's not. It's not the
Series
enhanced,
S is
the
the
0.5 version at some point, right? And similar to the Xbox One X or similar to the Xbox One, you only have so much storage space, and then the onus is on you to go out and get another external hard drive.
Though, is if they're making a cheaper console, that's your 1 terabyte. The Series X has it all.
Exactly.
10 terabytes.
Mark gets it.
But I'm totally with you.
You guys owe me lunch if this thing is 2 terabytes or more.
I just want to go to In-N-Out. I will.
We're doing it.
Let's go.
We're going to do it.
Okay.
It's just a matter of who's paying.
Well, I'll get a double when it comes out to be a 1 terabyte internal hard drive.
A 1 terabyte SSD is about $100.
But that's in retail. I mean, it's tough to gauge a lot from that. Microsoft.
They get mass production.
Oh,
they get it
they're also not using SSD. They're they're
using proprietary.
It's something better than that.
Sure.
Yeah, which is why, I'm not a super tech aficionado. I have no idea what that port is on the back, if it's 10 pin, whatever. I think they sell, if that's what it is, I think they sell a conversion envelope that you open, put your hard drive in, your standard off-the-shelf hard drive in, close it up, slide it in, and that's your external, now internal, I guess.
I mean, it's
hard drive.
The port's that big, so it's,
which is the size. I'm talking like the actual hard drive card, like the slim hard drive cards that go into internal PCs.
Right.
So you open the envelope, you slide that in, you close it, and then you slide that into the Xbox.
We shall see.
I don't know. All I know is we're going to In-N-Out at some point.
There's also long rectangular drives that we use in cameras a lot.
Yes.
Put it in there.
All right.
Could be one of those.
We got to move on here. It is. Let's see. We'll skip loot
time?
box for this week because I know we're about out of time. All right. But let's talk unlock. Let's do a trivia question. Sorry, Miranda. We'll get you a chance to catch up when you're back. And the question comes from Carl Kramer, who writes in on the topic of id Software, talking about Doom at the top of the show. Which id Software game came as a bonus with another game, and also within it had 9 0-point achievements in it, which is just ice cold.
Yeah,
that's ice cold to do. So again, came as a bonus game with another game. Was it Doom 2 Master Levels? Was it Quake 2? Was it Wolfenstein 3D? Or was it Shadow Knights?
I'll go first.
Do you guys know this one?
I'm going to say it's A, Master Levels for Doom 2.
All right. Mark, you got any idea here? You want to try and get on the board?
Let's say Wolfenstein. Why not?
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say C.
Also going Wolfenstein?
Yep.
Cool. Nobody gets it right. We'll play again next week. It was Quake 2.
Yeah.
Quake 2 came as it was a bonus disc with Quake 4, a day one launch title for the Xbox 360.
Okay, so it was sort of hey, buy Quake 4 and you can relive a little bit of nostalgia with Quake 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Marketing, man.
Nice job, Carl, stumping everybody.
I thought the Master Levels for Doom 2 was going to be that. Like, if you buy Quake, we'll also give you some Doom games because if you're buying Quake, you probably own Doom. You know?
Right.
It's a play the Halo 3 beta if you buy Crackdown situation.
Yes. All right. If you want to try and stump the panel as Carl did, please send your Xbox trivia question to unlocked@ign.com. Please include your question, 4 multiple choice answers, and note the correct answer in your email. And with that, we'll hit the road. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. Please check out our Doom Eternal IGN First coverage this month. Brian Malkowitz, James Duggan, and myself have been working super hard on it. Very pumped for this one. I love what I've seen of this video game so far, and I'm very excited to share it with everybody. So, yeah, Destin.
Just follow me on Twitter or watch me stream at mixer.com/Destin or twitch.tv/Destin.
Nice.
Dope.
Brandon?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Tyrell, just my name. Put up a preview today for a cool CRPG. If you're a huge nerd like me and you really love those old school isometric RPGs like Baldur's Gate.
Hell yeah.
Kickstarter just launched today for a game called Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, which is a super metal name. It's a sort of spiritual sequel to Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'm very on board. Played it for about an hour. Really, really liked it.
Wrath of the Righteous.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
It's the only way to say
metal.
it. Really.
It's very metal.
Check out that preview. It's on IGN right now. Right now.
Excellent. Mark, take us home.
Yeah, Twitter at Mark_Medina. You can follow me there or not. It's up to you, man. It's I'm not
Do it.
I'm not
Do
your
it.
boss.
It's worth
You can
it.
do whatever you want.
Talks about
That's it.
speed runs.
Loot box was so unceremonious this week.
Loot box?
Or not, unlock block.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was
just like,
Well, we all failed.
We
Do you
all
want us to highlight our
Thanks,
failure?
Coral.
Oh, man. All right. We will see you guys next week. This was Unlocked 429. We shall return in 1 week's time.
Rip and tear.